So I wanted to talk about what it was like being on social media versus what it was like being off social media. So for about 12 months, I did a social media fast. I stopped using Facebook, stopped using Instagram, Snapchat, all the social media apps, even MySpace. Um, and it was great. I found it grounding. Anyhow, fast forward and I'm back in the saddle now more than ever, using my Instagram and my Facebook, mostly or predominantly my Instagram and my Facebook, and using them quite a bit, creating content, posting stuff, etc., etc. Alongside all this comes the pitfalls of these apps, which is their seductive abyss of a news feed that just sucks you in and sucks you in more and more and more. And I find it personally something difficult to deal with, especially given I have an addictive personality. I find it's quite a challenge for me moderating my social media use. I find it much easier to just get rid of it altogether. And that goes for a lot of things. Hence why I don't touch drugs or drink at all. I just find it much easier that way. But one of the biggest things I've noticed from not using social media to using social media, the amount of chatter that goes on in my mind is far greater when I'm using social media. When I'm using social media, my mind is running and chattering a lot more than when I'm not using social media. And this has become most apparent to me in my meditative practice, in my spiritual practice. I've found it a little more challenging to go deeper due to the fact that my mind is just a lot more noisy. A lot more noisy. Now you have to remember the mind. All the mind is just an accumulation of impressions you've received over your life. So everything that you've perceived with your five senses, sight, taste, touch, smell, sight, nose, all those five senses, all the information you've taken in through your five senses, your mind is just an accumulation of those things. It might sound a bit foreign to you, but if you bring a little awareness into your mind and the happenings of your mind, it will become much more clear of how your mind is just a recycle bin of all the information that you take in during the day. It's just a recycle bin. You see something, you hear something, you touch, you taste something, and that gets stored up in there, and the mind just cycles through it all, And if it is sounding a little foreign to you, don't take my word for it. Just try bring a little awareness into what actually goes on in the chatter of your mind. And you will notice that it's just a repeat of all the information that you've taken on during that day, the day before, a few days before, a week before, a month before, a year before, a decade before, and so forth. With that all being said, So, when I'm using social media, I notice my mind is a lot more noisy than when I'm not using social media. And when I'm not using social media, I find that although my mind is still noisy, it's a little quieter, and it's a little easier for me to find some calm, peace, and clarity within my life. I'll still continue to use social media because I'm really enjoying creating all this content for you guys. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun whilst doing it, so I'll continue to use it. And I'm sure, given enough time, I'll find a way to do more creating and less consuming of content. Because as much as I post, I also consume and find myself just scrolling through the newsfeed, scrolling through stories. So I wonder if I reduced my consumption. I wonder how that might affect my mind. That's food for thought. Let me know what you think. What do you think would happen if one reduced their social media consumption while still creating content? Do you think the increased mental chatter is from the creating side of social media or the consuming side? Love to hear your thoughts.